All right, my topic today I think it's very near and dear to everybody's heart in this room is people management. Whether you're one employee or 100 employees, people management is a part of everyday life in a business. And I'm going to cover 3 areas, and these are just lessons learned, if you will. First area I want to talk about is hiring and recruiting. And I have had the opportunity to work, and I'm currently working with a great team at Pumptex Incorporated, but I've had to work through some turkeys to get there. Has anybody ever worked with a turkey by a show of hands?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
turkeys can dress up to look like eagles. And when do you think that is the most common time that a turkey dresses up like an eagle?
Interview.
And a job interview, you got it. So the first rule that I stand by when hiring and recruiting is the 3-3-3 rule. And that's interviewing at least 3 candidates for a position that you're filling. Interview them 3 times and in 3 different situations. The best that a candidate will ever look is on the very first time that they're sitting in front of you. They're going to dress to a T, they're going to be on their best behavior, they're going to go out and they're going to get a book that's got all the interview questions that you ever want to ask. And they've studied them and they knew about this interview coming up, and they're going to be on their best behavior. So that puts you as a manager at a disadvantage. You've got everything else going on in your life. You're not spending 4 hours preparing for this interview. You just had to do a budget meeting. You just had to write check. You just, all right, right up to this time slot. Okay, time to interview. And you have to prep for this. So the 3-3-3 rule, 3 different people for any one position at least, 3 different times in 3 different venues. So you sit across from them at your desk, and that's game day. They're sitting there and they're on their proper behavior. Get them, do it there for sure, because you want to see how they perform, and that is the high pressure situation in that interview. Get them out of that situation in the second interview. Take them to the place where they're going to be operating. So it may be at Broussard's Mortuary. It may be there in the front of the area. Take them there, interview them where they're going to see other employees and see what's going on, and watch them and see how they react. You might sit them in an office around other coworkers and just observe them. The third time, you need to put them in a situation where they really interact with somebody else, like a coffee shop or just a restaurant. Take them to lunch. Get them out in a situation where you see them interact with the waiter or waitress. Are they respectful? Are they, how do they operate with somebody else? So you start to, and I call it peeling the onion of a person, because especially in a small business. In a big business, a bank or where there's 200 employees, it's just as important, but even more so in a small business, because what do you think that a bad employee, if you get a bad employee slip past your filter and they infiltrate your business, how much do you think a bad employee costs? A bunch. Just an example, say you've got a mid-level manager making about $50,000. It's a proven fact that if that person comes into your company, stays for a year, and then leaves, it's going to ultimately cost you $150,000 to refill and retrain that one position. So the investment of good interviewing is a sound investment, and it's so hard to peel yourself away as a manager to spend the time necessary, but it's so important. And there are a ton of bad employees out there. There are, I guarantee you, more bad employees than good employees. You can go out and post I used to use Monster, and Monster.com. If I needed to fill a technician position or a manager, warehouse manager, whatever, I'd go and put on Monster.com, and I would literally get 350 resumes Of those 350, I would get to probably 10 to 15 that I would even want to talk to in the phone interview. And then, maybe 5 that progress to an on-site, because it's so easy for people to apply for your job and your job and your job with one click of a mouse. That looks good. Apply, 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 apply. And it's your job to weed through that stuff. Just a little side note, iapplicants.com can make your life as a manager a lot easier when it comes to sourcing and recruiting. iapplicants.com is you can go on our website and just click the employment, and you never know that you leave the Pumptex website. It takes you through a tunnel, and you go to their website, and you can fill out all the stuff online, and you can ask knockout questions, and basically you get an email, and it says, blah, blah has applied, and here's how they answered the questions, and you can go, archive, don't want to see it, get out of my face, and then now you can get to the good people very, very quickly, instead of printing the resumes, reading the resumes, looking at the cover letters. I mean, that can be so tiring and frustrating as a hiring manager, hiring somebody, even if you're just a one-person business and you're ready to hire your second person, it can be overwhelming, and you tend to settle. God, this is taking 2 weeks. I've got customers hollering at me. I've got, other stuff. I've got big priorities, but okay, I'll just settle, and this is the best person. But, what if that's not the best person for the job, and you end up hiring a bad employee? That can really take your business down. Never be afraid to say no. An interview situation is so, I'm a person that likes to agree. Okay, they say, yeah, I'm the best. Okay, good. Tell me why. And you want to agree with them, and you get into that interviewing situation, and oh, great, all right. Okay, I'm gonna make the offer, and then it's just such a high pressure situation. Even for me, don't be afraid to say no. It is your job as a manager to protect your company in the interview process, because once they get in, it depends on your company's rules and regulations. It's kind of hard to get rid of them sometimes. So, ask the same questions to each applicant to be fair. How could you, if you've got somebody that comes in one week and you ask them this list of questions, and somebody comes in the next week and you ask them a different, how can you compare one against the other and be objective if you're not asking the same questions? So go off of a playbook. When you're asking interview questions, do the same ones to each one so you compare each applicant to each other. Don't be afraid to trash the whole bunch. If you don't find the right person out of 300 interviews, 300 resumes received and 10 interviews or whatever, if you don't find the right person, throw them all out. Try again. Because you've got to hire the right people. I've heard the saying, people are the most important asset of a business. I'll agree with that with one more word in it. Anybody know what that word is?
Good people.
The right people. The right people are a business's most important asset. Have you ever had to deal with a bad employee in a service situation? You know what I'm talking about then. Resist rehiring a previously employed employee. Anybody know why? That employee that worked for you a couple years ago, and I've done it twice, and I'll never do it again, because there is a reason that employee left. And you may be in a bind, and you may be real easy to, I kind of feel comfortable with that person, and maybe they were mediocre. I'll go ahead and take it back. Don't do it. It's a lesson learned for me. Don't hire previously, whether they were fired or whether they quit or whatever, unless they were just a superstar and you hate to see them go, don't leave. There's always exceptions to every rule. I always perform background checks and drug screens. That is the cheapest investment you will ever make. I like to say a good lawyer is a lot less expensive than a bad employee. Yeah, well, think about it. If you get a bad employee in your business, what if you hired a bad realtor that was just venom in your business or poison, and you didn't know it for a year? How would that affect, Beth Kirk Enterprises? That's pretty major, so protect your business. Always perform background checks and drug screens. They're very expensive. There's so many things that you can go out and do. Reference checks, personal reference checks, you calling their previous manager or you calling, checking on them can be really hit or miss. What's the corporate rule when you were in banking about reference checks?
We didn't do it. We would confirm employment, and that was the end of the date, and that was about it, because of fear of lawsuits now.
Would y'all agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah, that people clam up. If you have a personal relationship, and this is a feather in the cap of networking. If you know the person that they used to work for, that can really break down barriers. I feel comfortable that that I could call Steve Cooper if I was hiring one of his previous employees. Hey man, give me the straight dope, off the record, and you can really get some good information like that, because interviewees don't like to hear that you know their previous boss, because you might find them out, and you want to know the truth. I like to call it peeling back the onion. Every prospective employee, you want to peel back those layers of showmanship, and in the interview, you want to get to the real truth. And if you get to the real truth, and it's great, you found them. Boom. Pay them all that you can. Get them on your payroll. They'll help your business. Good people are free. You understand? Yeah. Let me elaborate a little bit. Good people contribute more than they cost. So good people are free. Any questions about hiring and recruiting? This isn't a one-way thing. Y'all know me. Y'all can just pipe up and say, Robert, that's BS. What do you do?
I have a question. Do you do that for every level of employee in your business with the 3 interviews?
Yes. From technicians to mid-level managers to salespeople. Salespeople are the hardest to hire. Oh gosh, because they're salespeople. They will sell you on themselves. Oh gosh.
Well, then they're good.
Yeah, if they're good, and you just have to play along, when hiring a salesperson. But hiring salespeople is a little bit more tedious. Did I answer your question? Anybody else have any questions about hiring or recruiting? We'll move on to the next point. Ooh, running low.
Where do you get your leads and your prospects? Other than you said you used to use Monster, so where are you advertising now?
Facebook. A little bit on Facebook. You just put it out to the universe. Put it on Facebook. Just talk it up. Rotary. Talk it up to your friends. I offer a $500 referral to any existing employee that says, "Hey, my brother Joe Bob will be a good technician for you," and he makes it through the filter. On his first day of work, I pay them $500, and that's an incentive for them to think about it. But it's also a filter. If I put my name out there on the line, that person better perform. So they're not just going to throw you, their cousin or whatever that needs a job, because their name is on the line too. So we've had good luck with that. No, there's no caveat there. But think about it. You think $500 is excessive? No? Why do you think? $500 is cheap when a Monster ad costs $3. How much is your time worth to interview 10 people? Get down to the interview. Is $500 cheap? Well, yeah, I bet. You bet. I'd pay $500 for a good employee all day long.